Hey, Cardano. Yeah, you, come over here for a second. Gee, you look a little bit under the weather today. Congested? A little bit too many CNFT drops, maybe? You got any medicine against that? Well, you're in luck. I might just have the medicine that you need. Hold on for just 1 second. Hi, I'm Niels, and I've got medicine for our cats and our blockchain. Welcome to our newest episode of CNFTs, Coding, and Cats. We always start with the last and best things first, and this week's cat is Raj. He got adopted last week, and if you want to support kittens like him, or just want a technically knowledgeable stake pool operator you can actually talk to, consider staking with Hazel. Let's get down to the nitty-gritty right away. Today, I'd like to shed a little light, or a lot of light I guess, on why we've seen so many issues, small and large, with NFT drops on Cardano. We will go through various drop mechanics that have been used and explain in detail which components are at play and how you can find out if your drop could be affected. Ahead of all of this though, I can safely say there's no problem with the blockchain at all, and it works exactly as designed at the current point in time. Let us start with the simplest drop system, and one that funnily enough is much more heavily used recently than it was in the beginning of the CNFT scene, just a few months ago. Here's the fixed price open wallet drop. It really cannot be much simpler than this when it comes to the mechanics, and so our drop diagram is extremely straightforward, as the two main components involved in the drop are you and a receiving address. Essentially, the artist will announce a fixed price for the NFT ahead of time, and through some social channel or website, or both, provide everyone with the address at launch time. Once that happens, you send your ADA to the address, and if you made it in time, your NFT will be minted and sent to you. Sounds easy enough, right? Technically, it is very simple indeed. However, this approach has some major drawbacks, and I'll consider it the cheapest approach possible. In this solution, there's no throttling or consideration for the load of the blockchain at all. Blockchains are decentralized and shared resources, and each individual, in particular creators, developers, and institutions and companies using it, should always be considerate when using those resources. This in fact does mean that you are responsible for making the network harder to use for others when you just encourage thousands of people to send transactions to the chain with an extremely short amount of time, and you then double the load by also sending something back immediately. Yes, the chain will handle this load and not break, but especially in this early phase where side chains are not available, Hydra is still in the works, and the parameters are not optimized for the types of loads we put on Cardano, a side effect will be congestion. As someone who is building something on Cardano, and yes, that does include you as an artist, you have a responsibility as well. This means adjusting your mechanism to your audience and drop type. If you're launching a smaller project with a couple of hundred NFTs, you are likely totally okay to use the single address fixed price approach, since you might not have the budget or developer resources to do anything else. On the other side, if you're doing a drop with 10,000 PFPs charging 30 or more ADA per piece, you have no excuse to use the easy way out. If you, the creator, are still not convinced, I'll tell you, the collector, something. The fixed price single address is easily abused, as proven most recently by Stale in a pre-announced mass buy of the Yummy Universe Halloween drop. It is indeed fairly easy to write an automation on a full Cardano node that will send dozens or even hundreds of transactions within seconds as soon as the payment address is revealed. That will be much faster than you or I can copy and paste the address into Nami or Daedalus and enter a spending password. This means malicious users can get into a project at mint price with an extremely high NFT count and very little effort. Then they can resell at prices above mint on the secondary market to get out in a profit. Most likely with the hundreds of transactions, they will snag a couple of valuable NFTs that make up the bulk of their profit. Imagine a project having 3 legendaries and all going to the same bot developer. You think that doesn't usually happen? Wrong. David King, another great Cardano resource on Twitter, recently shared with the community that he's tracked down a script exactly like the one that I described that has been participating in drops since as early as August. It was most recently visible for many people that participated in the latest Beyond Rockets Halloween drop. I want to encourage you as the collector and buyer of a project to do your research and ask the team that is building the CNFT ahead of time what mechanism they intend to use. If it's like what I just described, they are making your life unnecessarily hard when drop time comes around. Don't forget, you have a voice in how things should be done as supporters of these projects, and you know what to do if your voice is silenced or ignored. Another important piece of that flowchart that I'm not going to get into the details too much is that behind that last address isn't some Cardano magic that automatically mints NFTs. There's a developer behind it that did the work to observe transactions going to that address, which will be analyzed to mint and send the NFTs back. This is another point of failure, but much less likely to be the problem today, because developers like the team behind the Tails pool or Adam and Marco from BuffyBot have established reliable systems to listen and talk to the blockchain to achieve this kind of integration. I was actually able to verify some of the technical aspects mentioned in this video by sending a few walls of text to Adam via Twitter. His answers were greatly appreciated, and you should follow him as well if you'd like to be in the know about the CNFT scene and some of the technical aspects behind it. Okay, so how can we solve this problem of bots sending transactions? Let's make sure that every transaction looks different. There's two straightforward ways to achieve this. Either the amount of ADA sent or the address need to be unique. This means the buyer goes to a website to click mint and is then presented with either the mint price in ADA with a tiny randomized dust amount added, like 40 ADA.042069, or they receive a dedicated address just made for their particular minting transaction. Because in this case, every user is assigned a unique address or dust amount and a mint button of some sort, this approach adds at least two components to our mint mechanism. A user interface the user interacts with, and some sort of backend to ensure no duplicates happen. Oftentimes, the system will also keep track of how many CNFTs have been minted already and reserve one for a limited time when you request to mint. This is why this approach is commonly called reservation drop, either dust-based or address-based. Now we have the benefit of preventing bots hitting the blockchain easily, and we can limit the amount of refund work we have to do, because we simply don't let anyone reserve once our minting limit is hit. Problem solved? Yes and no. We're successfully blocking one so-called attack vector and reduced congestion on the blockchain, but we've opened at least two new ones. Our website frontend and backend can now become the victim of a different type of bots. So you will have to add layers of protection and additional queuing, like CAPTCHAs, queues, Cloudflare denial of service protection, and other mechanisms. You can see that this added work doesn't really yield any immediate value for the developers, but mostly additional work and cost. This is why many teams try to avoid this work. Unfortunately, if they do avoid this work, it comes at an unpleasant cost for the buyers, like we have seen for so many projects. If a CNFT project wants to be long-term successful, a terrible launch experience will leave a noticeable dent in credibility. Talk to your NFT makers and ensure they explain ahead of time which steps they are taking to prevent attacks on their launch day. Now, you might argue, but if I reveal how I protect against attacks, that can be used against me. That is incorrect and commonly called security by obscurity. A malicious attacker will have the tools available they need regardless of if you share your protection mechanism or not. In particular, because you will have to explain your minting process at least a few hours before your drop anyway. That's plenty of time for an attacker, but probably not enough for you to make any adjustments if someone points out a problem in your system. In our reservation example, you will still have to build some kind of minting engine. What if you don't have the resources to do that? Maybe your technical skills are in website development but not in the Cardano command line and how to run a full node. Here, we enter the realm of an external minting tool that provides you with an actual front end for you to set everything up without having to hire somebody to make a custom minting service for you. A minting concierge, if you will. One of the most prominent examples is the tool NFT Maker Pro. It walks you through all the individual pieces from policy ID to metadata and minting backend. If you know how to use web APIs, you can just connect your website to it and still have a high level of control over your process. It is likely more expensive than a custom mint solution because NFT Maker Pro uses a volume-based percentage cost, and you may be able to get a fixed price from someone else, but you're also in the hands of a well-known team of professionals to which you can reach out. Great. Does this solve all our bot problems now? Unfortunately, no. You still have to use their API correctly and securely, and your own website can still be a victim of bot attacks. What you pay for, though, is someone who can give you insight into common problems and tell you what to avoid. It's on you to listen to the advice you get, though, because we've seen several projects in the past ignore the best practices recommended, then their launch was just as bad, even when a professional tool and team were on their side. So, what's the best solution? I'd love to tell you there is one that's by far the best, but that is not the case. What will give you the best chance is transparency and diligent work on securing your launch. Adjust your mechanism to your community and project size, and talk to the experts to get input on what is best for the type of project you have. If you take shortcuts, it will come back to you one way or the other. For buyers, I can only repeat, hold your project accountable. If the drop sounds fishy, it likely is. I can tell you the reason why air travel is the safest transportation mode is because any accidents are thoroughly investigated and problems are openly shared between engineers and operators across different airlines and countries. I'm pretty sure that same approach is the best for Cardano as well. Now that you know how to spot the gems from a launch mechanism perspective, let's take a look at some upcoming potential gems from their artistic and conceptual side. The first one I'd like to cover is Reva's World. Unique in the way that it is not only an NFT, but almost a Kickstarter campaign for a film in which you, the buyer, can support and impact the project by getting CNFTs related to the movie. These range from close-ups and long shots to storyboard and even some special designs. Depending on which CNFT you own, you then get to participate in the project in different ways. For some of them, you are even rewarded with royalties from the secondary market. Across the next 4 quarters, the team behind Reva's World will build out the movie and you can be a part of it. If you're a movie enthusiast, I suggest you visit their website and mint yourself a piece of CNFT movie history. Links in the description below, as it will be for all the other projects I'm covering. Another project that has been flying under the radar for almost a month now is Gentophile by Madi Bordo. It is a CNFT for lovers of generative art, hence the name, and I love colorful designs. Red Gentophiles look like blood vessels, orange ones like lava flows, blue ones like watersheds, and other ones look like lightning strikes to me. And that's not even considering the cool multicolor combinations, which are even rarer. I suggest you see for yourself if they appeal to your eye, and you can mint them at the very reasonable price point of 20 ADA. You even get discounts for sets of 3 or more. As with many other generative art projects, you get full rights to create derivatives as well. And beyond just the visuals, I was able to get in touch with the team directly on various occasions, including Twitter Spaces, direct messages, and on their Twitter feed. They're very responsive. They've even provided an airdrop of new 4K high-resolution Gentophiles for existing holders, and while no promises have been made for the future, there is potential for more of that down the road. Next, you may have missed last week's drop on Kimosabe Art's Cyberpunk Season 2, but fear not, the secondary market is there for you. Get them for around mint price now. It boggles my mind that this is the case, but the CNFT world is crazy like that, and it is your chance to benefit from it. The attention to detail and variations in this latest drop is jaw-dropping. I only accidentally stumbled across this project in my Twitter feed, but it caught my attention immediately. The latest drop, called Cyberpunk Season 2, is in a retrowave style, and exactly in that honor is today's studio lighting. The artist has already had multiple successful launches of stellar quality, and each drop is unique in its own right. I've seen Gojira, Terminators, Venom's brother, and this Zombie Kong. Small batches, but big style. Go check out Kimosabe Art in the description below, and stay tuned for their next launch, the Hellhounds. Now, I would almost call all of the projects in today's video underground, because they have not been hyped to death, and they're mostly acquired because people genuinely like them. I have one last member to add to this list, which has a bunch of utility and tech out on their website and in their CNFT concept, Cardano Caricatures. They started out with an all-original Charles Hoskinson caricature in August, honored the Alonzo smart contract hard fork with a Joseph Gogan, and now they are releasing their first crypto YouTuber to us with Journey Crypto. Each month, they draw a new person as a caricature, and their CNFTs come with features that only a very few other projects have explored so far. So depending on the rarity and other aspects of the caricature you own, you will get a specific amount of voting power, which you can then use to vote on which person is drawn for the next release. This means as a holder you get a say in the future of the project in a very direct manner instead of just somehow influencing the roadmap. With your voting power, they will even let you decide what kind of utility they should implement next. One of the other already existing utility features is if a collection sells out, you as a holder are entitled to a free physical print of the exact NFT you own. No need to seek out your local print shop, they will send it to you. As if that was not enough, owners of caricature NFTs also get access to additional discounts and even airdrops like the Charles Hoskinson Logan the Lobster version in October. The project not only has a ton of utility going on, but they're also giving back to the influencers that the community votes on by sharing 25% of the respective NFT sales with them. And most recently, the developer has made tools available to help you manage your NFTs in NFT Maker Pro. Remember how I said sharing tools and learnings is our best chance at a more secure and efficient and user-friendly ecosystem? This is the way.
This is the way. This is the way.
Visit them today and bother them about the Journey crypto drop date so we finally know when it is. There are plenty of more upcoming releases I'd love to tell you about, like Bulls vs. Bears, Veggiemates, Insomnium, Tavern Squad, and Aeonium Skies modified vehicles. That will have to wait for the next episode, however, because it's late and winter is coming. Stay frosty, everyone, and see you in the next one.